Hey everyone, welcome to another cross-stitch vlog. I'm going to be continuing my Needlework Marketplace preparations in this video. Needlework Marketplace, if you're not familiar, is a business-to-business, like wholesale event that's online. A lot of cross-stitch designers, fabric and floss dyers all show off their new stuff, old stuff, and needlework shops do a lot of wholesale shopping during the event. This is my first one, so I'm definitely not an expert on the whole situation. I only recently started selling physical paper patterns wholesale. And so, yeah, I'm kind of piecing together what I need to do, what I need to accomplish before this first wholesale event I am doing. And it's been going well so far. I will say a big help, huge help, has been this like designer group that I have joined. We've only had one meeting, but it has been a wealth of knowledge, very helpful. And I want to say thanks to all the designers that are in that group. There are a couple of, they're still new designers, but they have attended this event before, Needlework Marketplace. So they have a lot of good information and knowledge to share. The designers I am talking about are Lindsay of Counting Puddles, Nuri of Shaded Stitchery, Steph of Fine Product Stitching, and Amity of Boomerang Stitches. So definitely go give them a follow. I know that they're all on Instagram. I'm not sure about YouTube, but I'll post links to their at least Instagrams in the little bio down below. So yeah, let's see. Where I need to start today is wrapping my head around what I want my newsletter to look like. Now, the newsletter is just the email I will send out to all the shops showcasing my new designs, and in my case, I want to showcase some of my best sellers from my older designs that previously were mostly being sold digitally, and now they're available as physical print. So yeah, I'm gonna first take a look at mailers, like I'm not sure what they're called, but the different services where you can send out newsletters using them. I need to take a look at those just so I can have an idea of what their interface looks like for creating email newsletters. So that's the first step, and then trying to gather my thoughts on the actual newsletter itself. So I'll check back in with you when I have looked into all of that. I don't know. I've made it to Friday, finally. It's been a very long but productive week for my cross-stitch business. This is the last full day I have to devote to Needlework Marketplace preparation before it kicks off. At least the initial stages of sending out newsletters and initiating pre-orders, that'll start happening, I'm pretty sure, next week. So, but I'm in a good spot. I have my newsletter mostly figured out. I'll put a little screen recording if I can, or screenshots of it over here, but it's pretty simple, very image heavy, showcasing all the new designs, and then I have, pictures of some of my best sellers in there, and information on my pre-order deadlines and how to order, all that good stuff. I've also been doing just little minor tweaks to the website. I keep thinking of different things, but that's going well. I think I will wait to launch that right before the newsletter gets launched, because the website is mainly for the wholesale, so it doesn't need to be out any sooner than that. Today I've been working a lot on getting my paper needs figured out. So even though I am printing at home, and I'm going to be trying to do kind of like a made-to-order system in general, I think for the event I do want to prepare ahead of time some of the patterns, or at least the cover pages for the patterns. The cover pages in particular take just forever. They take so long to print, and I also have to insert a new page into the slot, the special paper slot, for each page, each cover page. So it's quite tedious, and I end up having to like sit in my office and monitoring it. I can't just like print and let it run like I can for the pattern portion or the instruction portion. So yeah, I'm going to get started on that. So I needed to come up with some estimations for the type of orders I'll expect with Marketplace. I don't have a ton of experience with wholesale. It's only been a couple months where I've been selling some patterns, and I've not sold to many shops at this point. So my numbers are kind of based on a little bit of that. I got some insight from my like designer support group thing. That was really helpful. And then I do have experience with the digital patterns, and I guess from selling digital, I have noticed that for me in particular, and I guess my style of designs, the larger patterns always sell a lot better than smaller patterns. So I'm anticipating that Green Bungalow will be the least popular design of my new designs, for instance, because it is like a smaller one. I also think, I think in general, this is probably true, that the new designs are going to be better sellers than my older designs. Because they haven't been released yet. They haven't been out digitally. There's no prior competition for the shops selling those patterns. And so, yeah, I think those patterns in particular, I want to be printing off more in advance than some of my older designs. So yeah, based on that, these are like kind of the numbers that I hope I can reasonably sell during Marketplace. These are the 4 new patterns I have. It's basically either a quantity of 75 or 50. So the 3 larger ones are 75. And then I'm only going to be printing out in advance cover pages for my 3 bestsellers, which are Cherry Magpie, Aviary, and Persephone's Garden. So I'm going to try and get those covers started today. And just have them ready to go, because the other portions of it are much faster, and I don't need to be as concerned about trying to print those out as I go along. It'd be really terrible to get into a situation where I physically cannot print patterns fast enough because my printer is not a commercial or anything like that. So trying to avoid that. That puts me at that right there, just those estimates. That's 425 patterns, and that sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot, but who knows? Who knows? I think overall, though, I want to have paper in excess of what I think I'll need. Not in too much excess, but I do want to have, enough inventory of paper that I'm not having to buy things rush order if I'm run out for any reason. So I want to buy paper to get up to 1,200 patterns. I'm just basing one pattern as a full page, 4 pages in the center. Most of my patterns are that size. It's 4 pattern pages plus the cover and instructions. So I went through and looked at my paper stock, took inventory of what I had. I've already ordered the paper that I need, except for the cover paper it's just very expensive compared to the other paper, and I kind of chickened out on ordering the full quantity that I estimated. I will need to order more if I do end up selling 1,200 patterns, which would be a lot. I don't think I will reach 1,200 patterns, but I can let you know. I'm curious. I'm very curious to see how this goes. Let me show you the papers that I use currently, because it's maybe changed a little bit since I first talked about paper on here. So this is the cover paper that I'm using right now. It's photo paper. This is Canon Photo Paper Pro Luster. I recently picked this up to try because the breathing color paper I was using before, I didn't have any issues with it. It was high quality, really great. It's just that the stocking of it, the inventory that they had available at times was either sold out or super low. So I just couldn't really rely on having it in stock when I needed it. And that's a problem. That's a problem. So I tried this out recently. I like it. It actually has, with luster paper, there's a texture to it. It's It's like a little, if you look at it, it's almost like little tiny bubbly bumps on it. And the Canon paper compared to the Breathing Color, this Canon one has less of a texture, which I kind of like better. So I'm liking this right now. It comes in 50-page bundles though, so you have to buy a lot of it. That's the cover page. This one's really heavy. Okay, next is what I use for the instruction pages. Basically the back cover where it is color key, model information, stitch counts, all that stuff. So this is what I use. Kind of busted open. It's a 100-pound cover copy paper by Hammermill. And this last one is for my patterns, for the black and white patterns themselves. It's a 28-pound copy paper by Hammermill. It's nice. All right, so that was all the paper that I'm using. I also bought some more ink for my printer, and I bought more clear sleeves, which I buy those from a website called Clear Bags. And they have a lot of sizing options, but for my 8.5 by 11 patterns, I use the 9 by 12 zip bags. Yeah, they work out. They work out really nice. So everything is ordered. I think most of the stuff will be kind of arriving next week. I actually think the cover pages weren't supposed to arrive until 2 weeks from now, so I'm glad I ordered them today, because I do have some cover paper. I probably have like 150 pages right now, so I can still get started on the cover printing, but yeah, I'll have to wait until that order comes in until I really get into finishing off my preparation, my pre-printing preparations. Next, I have my whip to show off. It's no longer a whip, it's now a finish, and it turned out so great. I loved how just bright the colors are on this and how simple the designs are. It's just a lot of fun. It had some good blend of monochromatic style stitching with some fill-in, and then just a lot of fun little patterns and objects to stitch. I do think I want to include this in Needlework Marketplace, maybe. It really will depend on, I'm going to look today to see if I can find a frame for it, and if not, I might need to do a flat finish. I don't know. I can probably take photos of it over the weekend, maybe. I'll probably sneak that in at some point. And as long as I can get the photos edited before the newsletter needs to go out, I think I'm going to include it. But there's that. Oh, if it doesn't go out Needlework Marketplace, it'll be, shortly after I get through that event. Yeah, I don't have much else to say about it. I think I already mentioned in this video, this is a 40 count Fiber on a Whim hibiscus. And I still don't know if this is darker or lighter than persimmon usually is. I still don't know. I haven't posted the other video where I talked about that yet, so I'm hoping I get some feedback on if someone's knowledgeable about if hibiscus is usually darker or usually lighter than persimmon, because I think it's all in the same kind of color family with dolomite, hibiscus, persimmon, and is there another one that falls into that kind of same color category from Fiber on a Whim? I'm not sure. But dolomite is definitely the lightest, and I don't know about the persimmon and the hibiscus though. Let's see. What else do I need to do today? I think the last thing that really needs to happen today, aside from doing some cover printing, is kind of organizing this space for Midsummer Stitch. That event is starting tomorrow, and I have my little interview meet and greet thing happening. It'll be 2 p.m. my time. It's 5 Eastern. Yeah, so I need to get this space behind me organized just so I have room to put some models on my desk. I'm going to be showing off some of the models, probably a lot of the Needlework Marketplace stuff. And then this space in front of me right now is going to be the backdrop, and it's kind of sad. So maybe I clean that up a little bit. It's where you're sitting right now is my packing station area. So it's very It's a very small space for what it needs to accomplish, so it gets very cluttered. But yeah, I think that's all I have for now. I'm doing a little bit of late night work right now, trying to get just a few more things off my checklist in preparation of Needlework Marketplace, of course. I've been working on the cover printing, and so far things have been going well, except for this one. This one has been a huge struggle. Just show you the original print out was this right here. It looks super black, very washed out fabric. I've been doing a lot of editing, trying to get it to look as close as I can to this. And of course, the lighting is a bit off in here, so I think when I do that, that is more color accurate in natural light, because that's turning it very green from the warm lights above. So yeah, it's supposed to look more like that. I think I've gotten it as close as I can get with this print right here. I really wish I could get it closer, but I like have been working on this for about an hour already, and it's done. It needs to be done. The printer always does its own color correction, which you can't turn it off because the print will come out super dark if you have it off. So it does this color correction, and so even though the image on my screen looks really close to what it looks like in person in natural light, it's still not translating to the printed copy, which is not usually the case. Usually I print off like the first try and it looks great. So I'm not sure why that is. I'm not sure. I could do a little bit of Googling tomorrow maybe and see if I can find a solution, but for now, I think it's just gotta be what it is. It's just, I gotta stop there. I've also been doing some printing. I got about I guess it's about 125 covers so far. So it's a pretty meaty stack. It's pretty sizable, but I was trying to get to that like almost 400, was it 435, something like that. So I'm not there yet. And I'm still waiting on the paper to arrive to keep printing stuff. So this is where I'm going to stop for now. So I think in the other clip I said that I have to feed this paper in one at a time. I was wrong. Thank goodness I was wrong. I ended up trying putting it in the tray like I do my other paper, because I was thinking this paper is not that thick. It's not any thicker than the cardstock I put through the regular tray slots. I was just like, why do I need to feed this one at a time? And yeah, I guess I don't know why I had that in my mind, that it was a one at a time sort of situation, but yeah, it's been much easier now that I can just put a stack of this inside the tray and just let it run for a bit. Although I do keep a closer eye on the printer during these print jobs, because if anything goes awry, like sometimes, there'll be splotches of ink, like the inside of the printer gets a bit dirty at times, so it has to get cleaned out. So yeah, I like to keep an eye on the prints as they're coming out, just so that if there's anything wrong, I can stop the print job and clean things up, correct whatever is wrong, and then keep going. But that's where I'm at with those. The other thing I'm working on is finishing this banner, like FFOing it. I really need this done so I can get some pictures taken of it, and I decided I'm going to do it as a banner in a similar style to this banner I finished. Was it last year? I'm not sure. But this is a sprouting lupine pattern. It's Unicorn's Garden, although I didn't put the bottom portion of it, the little initial bit at the bottom. There is another section to the pattern that I didn't do. So it is finished as a banner. It's a super simple finish. It doesn't take that long, and I have all the materials. So I have prepared everything for the sewing machine. I do use the sewing machine on this, even though historically I am not so great on the sewing machine, but I have found that if I have a straight line to follow, like I am sewing directly along this line and then I drew out the lines that I need to stitch on, if I have that straight line, I'm fine and I can stitch straight. But it's whenever I'm trying to like have that seam allowance and then, trying to stitch the correct I don't know, it's whenever there's a seam allowance without any guidance as to where the actual stitched line is, I have a problem with, and it comes out all wonky. So with this though, I draw the lines on there. I use this interfacing here. It's a ultra lightweight interfacing. I cut it so that it is an extra ½ inch on the right and left, and then on the top and bottom it's an extra inch away from the stitched edges. So my piece right here is 5.5 by 8 3/4 inches, and I'm stitching on a 40 count. And then I attach that, and I draw these lines. This is an extra 1.5 inches because you need a section of the banner to fold over to the back. This is just a folded over piece of the banner. So you need that extra inch to fold over there. So I have that piece all ready to go. I have the backing fabric, which that's a Tula pink fabric that I have. I don't even cut this down the size. I just pin it together, make sure the stripes are straight. Of course, I just pin it and then sew along those 2 lines, stopping, at the end of these red lines on either side. And then what you have is just this fabric tube that I turn out. I'm giving myself in this case ½ inch to fold in, like the raw edges. I'm going to fold about ½ inch in. I like to do like a super loose ladder stitch along that edge just to close it off and make it easier to do the folding of it. So folding it over and then doing a stitch along here, making sure, of course, that you're not going through the cross stitch in the front. But yeah, it's really simple. You fold it over, stitch it down, and then you have the 2 holes that are large enough. You want to make them large enough such that you can stick your dowels through, which I make these myself. I have these 2 things from the craft store, Michael's in my case. They have a lot of dowel sizes, but this was already like smaller cut lengths, which seemed like a better for me in particular for finishing cross stitch. And on the back of the package, they have the diameter 0.18 inches. So I found some wooden beads that had the same diameter so that I can pop them on the end of the dowel. And I do put a little bit of glue in there, this Aleene's, and just kind of make it flush. Wipe off all the excess glue from there, and then you got these 2 little dowels. That's super easy. And then the only other part of this I will be doing is the cording right here. In the last video, someone asked what I use to make my cording, and I use this tool. It's called a Krynic Custom Quarter. I think I got it off of 1-2-3 Stitch. It's a really simple tool. I'm pretty sure you can use other things that aren't as I don't know, one-use tool as this. I think I've seen people use like pencils to create cording or drills, that sort of thing. So, but this is what I use. It has instructions in there. I like the cording to be thin like this, so I only use one piece of it's a long piece of DMC that you tie into a loop, and then you attach one end of that loop to like bookshelf. In my case, I usually tape it to some furniture, and that way I can like create the tension needed to do my cording with this. So that's what I got for now, and yeah, hopefully I can get this photographed, finished today, photographed tomorrow, so that I can get this into my newsletter for Marketplace. It's finally time to share all of my new Needlework Marketplace releases. If you've been following along with my blogs, you will have seen most of them, but I have at least one new surprise for my Marketplace releases, one I kept secret, which was really hard. It's just fun to share all that stuff as it's happening, as I'm working on it. So finally, I will be able to show off all of the 5 new releases I have for Marketplace. But before I get into that, I want to say thanks to everyone who attended Midsummer Stitch Retreat hosted by Lindy Stitches. It was a really fun time. I had a great time with the meet and greet. It's just nice having that real-time interaction a little bit. I was not able to keep up with the comments. It's a little overwhelming, doing a live thing for the first time. But yeah, I need to go back and read all those comments still. So thank you everyone who was there and who participated. I also want to say thanks to everyone who purchased my Midsummer exclusive. I really appreciate it. So thank you. I will have that Midsummer exclusive available in the future. You just have to wait about a year if you weren't able to snag it at the retreat itself. Let's go ahead and get started on showing all the releases. These patterns are going to be available only as physical print initially, and then starting in October, I'm going to have them available as digital patterns as well. Let's start off with Green Bungalow. This pattern is my smallest pattern for my marketplace releases. It's just a fun little autumn stitch. It was inspired by a house I live nearby and drive by quite frequently. And it's stitched on a 40 count muted Sedona by Fiber on a Whim, muted Sedona linen. It's got a lot of bright greens in there, a lot of bright oranges and yellows. So it pops really well on this dark muted Sedona fabric, which I am pretty obsessed with right now. It also fits really great. This is a 5x7 frame. It fits stitched on 40 count. So that works out nicely. I love having a standard frame size when I remember to think about it before I just start designing stuff. Next up I have a pattern called Linoleum Rug. This is stitched on a 40 count Fiber on a Whim fabric called Smoky Quartz. It's one of their new releases from Nashville this year. It's a nice gray neutral fabric, but it does have a little bit of a green tint to it, which really helps bring out the dark green here in all of this monochromatic stitching and in this satin stitch here. This piece was inspired by catalogs, linoleum rug catalogs from the 1900s, early 1900s, mid 1900s. So it's got a lot of patterning that resembles those rug designs where there's like that thick border with more geometric patterning in the center, a lot of florals in those catalogs, and one catalog, or not one catalog, one rug in particular really stood out to me because it had this really chunky border that was irregular around the large floral bouquet. So I wanted to try and translate that into cross stitch. So this is what I came up with. This bouquet, the floral right here, is all Smyrna crosses, and there's Smyrna crosses done over a 2x2 space, so they're larger than the full crosses in the rest of the pattern, and it creates a fun like textural element to it. And then there's also all this satin stitch surrounding the bouquet, which of course is a lot of fun as well. You could stitch it. I'm going to be charting it so that it can be stitched like this, like my model, or it can be stitched just all full cross. Next up I have a pattern called Ephemeral Sampler. This pattern was inspired by antique samplers, how they have, usually have this sun washed, like sun bleached front to them with really muted colors, but then on the backs of them you can see what those original colors, what the original stitcher used to stitch the pattern, and can imagine from there what it might have looked like when it was originally stitched. So I came up with this idea to do a sampler that had both the bright palette and muted palette stitched into the piece. So this half right here are the brights, and this right here is all the muted palette. You of course could stitch it just with one palette or the other, but I wanted to have both of them since it was kind of the original inspiration for this piece. It also has a quote on there by poet Rabindranath Tagore. It says, "The butterfly counts not months but moments and has time enough." And I thought that really fit the theme of just appreciating the here and now and realizing that everything kind of comes to pass. Just along those lines. That was my thinking and inspiration for this piece. Butterflies play a huge role in it as well. There's some butterflies here in this little like full coverage stitching area, and then along the borders I included a lot of butterflies as well, because they're really just bright and beautiful for just that moment in time. There's a fun Art Nouveau inspired alphabet down here. You can put your initials in these little spots, and I squeezed the date in, or the year in right here, so 2025. It's stitched on a 40 count fiber on a whim persimmon, and it uses all DMC. Next up is a late addition to my Marketplace lineup. This pattern is called Circle Circle Dot Dot. It's named after the little games kids play on playground, like with another kid, where you're doing the hand motions and all the little hand signs, that sort of stuff. My daughter is really into that now, and it's so interesting hearing the lyrics and realizing that they're almost the same as what you had as a kid, that sort of stuff. So yeah, this one is inspired by my daughter. It's very summery, just a lot of fun little creatures on here, cats, balloons, smiley faces, rainbows, of course. I did a lot of monochromatic outlines for the designs around the border of this piece, and then colored in just a few of them to kind of emulate or look like a coloring book of sorts. It's a really fun and bright stitch. It's stitched on a 40 count fiber on a whim hibiscus linen. And last release for Marketplace is my secret stitch. Oh, it looks so good. I love how this one turned out. This one is called Blueberry J. It is a sequel to my piece I created last year called Cherry Magpie. That one had cherries and a magpie on it. This one has blueberries and a Stellar's J. Stellar J's are, sorry about that. I don't know, that word just sounds funny to me right now. But these birds are something I see kind of frequently in my area. They're not the most common thing to see, but you know, every couple weeks out of the corner of my eye, I'll see that bright flash of blue in my yard. And it's usually like a couple of them out there just zooming about or trying to pick birdseed off the ground from my little bird feed area. But yeah, they're super pretty, super fun. I love their little mohawk situation that they have. And this was a lot of fun to stitch. I kept the similar border patterns for the like overall composition is the same as Cherry Magpie, but everything in it is different. So it's a similar feel to the stitch, but you know, a new palette, new designs, new motifs to be stitching. So it was a lot of fun, What else to say about this? Oh, it's on a 40 count fiber on a whim called Malachite, and it's stitched mostly in DMC, and then there's two threadwork colors, which are the this color up here, the purple. Although there's a DMC that's very similar that I kind of blended in some areas intentionally. It's charted like that, where this is 154, and then this is one of the threadworks, the purple, and then the darkest blue in there in like this area. So you could totally stitch it all in DMC, of course, but I do like the slight variation those threadworks colors provide for the piece, especially in this like large solid place, and the monochromatic sort of stitching in certain areas. So yeah, that is all of them. That's all I have for Marketplace. 5 new pieces to look forward to. I am really happy with how everything turned out, and I hope you all like them as well. If you're interested in buying any of these patterns, you can reach out to your favorite needlework shop. Certain needlework shops do pre-orders starting in kind of August, when designers start sending out their emails with all their new patterns. So that's one way to order it, or waiting until October when I release them digitally. So thank you so much. Thank you so much for sticking around, looking at all my progress on all of this and seeing these new releases. I hope you all are doing well, and thanks.